Hi everyone, and welcome to Christine's Book Talk on happy narratives centered around LGBTQ characters. Young adult books have seen quite a bit of progress in terms of diversity among the characters featured. At one point, it was easy to assume that every main character in a YA book would be white and heterosexual. More and more, as of late, authors will dictate the race of their main characters, even to say if they're white, so that there is not one set baseline. Sexuality, too, has become more diverse in popular fiction. While there are now a lot more diverse YA novels than there were before, a lot of them focus on the struggle, pain, and realism of being homosexual. The three books featured today in this book talk are Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell and Faith Hicks, Simon vs. the Homo Sapien Agenda by Becky Albertelli, and The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. These are all unique in their telling of an LGBTQ story that is lighthearted, happy, and humorous. These books are different from each other in other ways: a graphic novel, a contemporary modern book, and a historical fiction novel, but they all have the same theme running throughout of LGBTQ characters finding a good relationship by the end of the novel to love and be with. All of these books are available for checkout at the Teaching Resources Center at UNCG. Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell and Faith Hicks is a graphic novel about two best friends who have worked at a pumpkin patch every October for the last 4 years. They are about to graduate high school and end their annual tradition, which sets them off on an adventure to accomplish all the things they've always wanted to do and haven't yet. It is a great book to read in the fall and can be read in nearly one sitting. It is so fun and fast-paced. There is a running joke throughout the book of a goat that's accidentally been freed from the petting zoo and is terrorizing everyone. He keeps reappearing in the background of important scenes unbeknownst to the main characters. One of the best parts of the book is the character Deja. Another funny joke running through the book is how excited she gets every time she finds a new food stand throughout the pumpkin patch they work at. Every food from s'mores to fudge to Frito soup. She is tall, full-figured, African-American, and bisexual. There are a lot of stories that have characters with any one of these characteristics, and often there is a struggle related to it. While it is good and realistic to see how people resolve conflict about their weight, race, and sexuality, sometimes it is beneficial to see a representative of this kind who is happy, bold, and confident, whose plot is centered around something else, with these other characteristics not factoring in. When Deja sees her ex-girlfriend and her ex-boyfriend, there is no difference in her reaction. She isn't ashamed of either. When she finds a love interest at the end of the book, her identification as a bisexual isn't a problem between them at all. It is refreshing and enjoyable. It is the happy ending to a love story she deserves. The other main character is her best friend Josiah, who sometimes goes by Josie. He is more shy and sweet and very nervous when he's around his crush. Before this novel is a romance novel, it is ultimately a friendship novel. This quote by Deja sums it up: "I'm your friend, and friends don't let friends live small lives." She encourages Josiah every step of the way to become more brave and follow his dreams, as well as sharing all her favorite snacks with him. True friendship. If you want to be charmed by a quick read filled with adorable pictures and fall fun, please read Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell. Simon vs. the Homo Sapien Agenda by Becky Albertelli has recently been made into a movie retitled Love, Simon. This book dwells a little longer on the difficulty of coming out as gay to your friends, family, and community, but still ultimately features a happy ending. A lot of gay teens must deal with the rejection of their family or religion. When someone is going through a hard experience, reading can be a good form of escape from that. It can be fantasy fulfillment to see a happy alternative play out. And in this case, reading about Simon being accepted and loved by his family no matter what is heartwarming to see. He gets to be true to himself in every way possible. He gets to love who he wants to love. Simon is such a fun character to read about. He is realistic, excitable, humorous, and lovable. Any teen, whether gay or straight or identifying as something else, can appreciate this character and all his relationship problems. As Simon says in the book, "Why is straight the default? Everyone should have to declare one way or another, and it shouldn't be this big awkward thing whether you're straight, gay, bi, or something else. I'm just saying." All his problems begin when another student finds out his secret and blackmails him about it. The mystery of who Simon's love interest pen pal is, and the suspense of his secret being revealed makes the pages fly by. All the pop culture references in the book make it relevant to right now. Everything from Tumblr to Justin Bieber to Harry Potter fanfiction, it's all there. A good recommendation would be to read the book and then watch the movie after to compare, but both stand up to good storytelling. There is a very emotional part of the story when it comes to Simon's coming out that a lot of gay teens can relate to. If you want to read a book that is sweet and hopeful and true to life, then Simon vs. the Homo Sapien Agenda by Becky Albertelli is a great pick for you. The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee is set in the 1700s all throughout Europe. It is about two boys going on tour and then running into a wild adventure of pirates, magic, and more. Tour is what middle and upper class young adults went on to further their education and culture. The main character is a brass young Englishman named Henry Montague, who goes by Monty and happens to be in love with his much quieter best friend Percy. It involves a lot of drinking, rebellious acts, and running from the law after Monty steals a very important piece of item from the Palace of Versailles. The writing is very fast-paced, to the point where it doesn't feel like 500 pages of reading at all. Monty's first instinct is to always try and charm his way out of situations, whether it be a man or a woman. He says the first thing that comes to his mind, which leads to a lot of cringeworthy and funny interactions. A really adorable trope is when the loud, charming main character is hard-eyed at the sight of his unobtrusive, poorer best friend. Monty would die for his best friend, and it is evident. This book also has the benefit of being very feministic towards Monty's younger sister, who accompanies them on the journey. She doesn't want to go to finishing school as her parents desire and instead wants to be a doctor. At one point, after an injury, Monty says, "Just thinking about all that blood, I nearly shudder. Doesn't it make you a bit squeamish?" "Ladies haven't the luxury of being squeamish about blood," his sister replies, and Percy and I go fantastically red in unison. At first thought, a story with homosexual young men set in the past seems like it has to end in tragedy because of the time period and accompanying prejudices. But the author approaches this concept in the afternotes. Not only has homosexuality been present all throughout history and approached in various forms, live-in best friends is one of the ways this was treated, but the author believes that happy representation of two men in love is more important than being so-called realistic. Historical romance needs more queer representation in it. Whether that be in ancient Egypt or Renaissance France, there exists a love of all kinds, a people of every color, religious people and non-religious people. As Monty says, we are not broken things, neither of us. We are cracked pottery mended with lacquer and flakes of gold, whole as we are, complete unto each other, complete and worthy and so very loved. The self-acceptance message in this book is very inspiring. If you love historical fiction, adventure, and a lot of wistful longing, then A Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee is a great book to read. Happiness in books is so important. There's a reason so many popular stories end happily, with the hero triumphant and the evil villain quelled. Often in life it isn't that easy or clean-cut. Problems are messy and miscommunication between people can last for years. Judgment can come from any direction, as can rejection and heartbreak. There are enough terrible things in the world to fill an infinite amount of pages. Reading about these good situations and strong characters and lovely romances gives hope for the everyday life. It is uplifting for people, especially young people, to see people like themselves who face conflict head-on and come out the other side standing. Particularly in this day and age, when information access is at its highest peak and we are faced with the tragedies of every nation all the time, it can be overwhelming for anyone to witness. There has been a trend in young adult fiction to be gritty and truthful and to match the rough atmosphere we live in. Sometimes romance novels are looked down upon, are seen as lesser than other genres, more feminine and soft. It is brave to write a good ending, to see the beauty in life and the ways people succeed and the bonds people build with one another. There is nothing wrong with seeking out books that lighten your mood, entertain you, make you smile, and give you optimism. If you want to read a collection of books that have LGBTQ characters who are funny and honest with themselves, reading the graphic novel Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell and Faith Hicks, the coming out story Simon versus the Homo Sapien Agenda by Becky Albertelli, and the historical adventure romance The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee are all the books for you.